This video isn't about attraction in the way social media usually talks about it. It's about something much deeper. At some point, every woman emotionally chooses one man, sometimes without even realizing it. And that choice doesn't come from looks, money, or confidence alone. It comes from something quieter, something psychological. If you stay with me till the end, you'll understand what that is, and why it changes everything. A woman doesn't emotionally choose a man the moment she finds him attractive. Attraction is fast, impulsive, and often superficial. Emotional choosing is slower, quieter, and far more intentional. It happens beneath logic, beneath words, beneath what she even explains to herself. When a woman emotionally chooses one man, it's not because he stood out the loudest, but because he made her feel something most people never do. Safe without being bored, seen without being judged, and drawn without being pressured. What many people don't understand is that emotional choosing has very little to do with convincing. The more a man tries to prove himself, the more he unconsciously communicates insecurity. And insecurity creates tension. A woman emotionally chooses the man around whom her nervous system relaxes. Around him, she doesn't feel like she has to perform, impress, or protect herself. Her body settles before her mind does. And when the body feels calm, the heart opens naturally. She begins to notice how she feels after interacting with him. Not excited in a chaotic way, not anxious, not confused, but grounded. She feels lighter, clearer, more herself. That feeling becomes familiar, and familiarity mixed with emotional safety creates attachment. Over time, her mind starts associating his presence with peace. And humans instinctively move toward what brings them peace, even when they can't explain why. A woman emotionally chooses a man who listens differently. Not the kind of listening that waits for a turn to speak, and not the kind that tries to solve her emotions like a problem. But listening that feels present. Listening that makes her feel understood without having to over-explain herself. When she feels emotionally met rather than analyzed, her guard lowers. And once her guard lowers, emotional intimacy begins. Consistency plays a much bigger role than intensity. Emotional highs may feel exciting in the moment, but they don't create trust. A man who is warm today and distant tomorrow keeps her in a state of emotional alertness. But a man whose emotional presence is steady, predictable, and reliable creates safety. She doesn't have to guess where she stands. And when there's no confusion, emotional attachment deepens naturally. A woman also emotionally chooses a man who has a life he respects. Not someone who revolves entirely around her, and not someone emotionally unavailable, but someone grounded in himself. A man with direction, values, boundaries, and purpose signals stability. He doesn't need her to complete him, and because of that, she feels free to choose him rather than feeling responsible for him. Freedom is far more attractive than pressure. Emotional maturity is another quiet but powerful factor. A man who can express emotions without dumping them. Who can be vulnerable without collapsing. Who can talk about struggles without making her his emotional caretaker. This balance communicates strength. It tells her that she can lean on him without having to carry him. And that sense of emotional safety builds deep trust over time. Patience matters more than most people realize. A woman emotionally chooses a man who doesn't rush intimacy or force closeness. Not because she fears connection, but because depth grows best when it's allowed to unfold. A man comfortable with pacing, silence, and natural progression communicates confidence. And confidence without force is deeply calming. Mystery also plays a role, but not the kind people usually think of. Mystery isn't distance or coldness. It's depth. It's layers. When a woman feels there's more to discover about a man, more thoughts, more experiences, more perspectives, her curiosity stays engaged. But mystery alone feels empty. Warmth alone can feel predictable. The combination of emotional warmth and depth is what keeps her emotionally invested. Respect is essential. A woman emotionally chooses a man who respects her emotional reality. He doesn't dismiss her feelings or label her as dramatic. He doesn't try to logic her out of what she feels. He listens, acknowledges, and holds space without losing himself. That emotional respect creates a bond that goes far beyond attraction and into genuine connection. She is also drawn to the man who allows her to be more herself, not less. Around him, she doesn't feel like she has to shrink, soften, or silence parts of who she is. She feels freer, more honest, more alive. If being with a man feels like self-betrayal, she will eventually pull away. If being with him feels like self-expression, she will stay, even through challenges. Emotional leadership matters deeply. This doesn't mean control or dominance. It means steadiness. When emotions rise, he doesn't panic. When conflict appears, he doesn't disappear. When uncertainty shows up, he stays present. That presence signals strength at a subconscious level. And real strength is calming, not intimidating. A woman emotionally chooses the man who sees her as a partner, not a project. He doesn't try to fix her or reshape her. He doesn't position himself as a savior. He walks beside her. That mutual respect creates emotional equality, and emotional equality sustains long-term desire. She is also drawn to a man who has his own emotional center. He doesn't mirror her moods excessively, nor does he invalidate them. He remains grounded even when she's emotional. That balance creates harmony. And harmony is deeply attractive. Perhaps most importantly, a woman emotionally chooses the man who makes her feel chosen without being controlled. He shows interest without surveillance. He shows care without possession. He expresses intention without pressure. That balance creates emotional security, which is rare and deeply valued. Most people carry emotional wounds. A woman emotionally chooses the man who doesn't reopen old ones unnecessarily. Not because he's perfect, but because he's aware. Aware of how words land. Aware of emotional impact. And when mistakes happen, he owns them. Ownership builds trust faster than perfection ever could. In the end, emotional choosing isn't about excitement alone. It's about home. Excitement fades. Status fades. Appearances fade. But emotional safety, respect, curiosity, and connection endure. When a woman feels emotionally at home with a man, she doesn't need convincing. She doesn't need chasing. She chooses freely. And if this video made you pause, reflect, or see relationships a little differently, subscribe to Psychology Unlocked. This channel is for honest conversations about attraction, emotional depth, and human behavior, without manipulation, without noise. If you want to understand people on a deeper level, you're in the right place. Stay with me. There's much more coming.